Admiral Du Hyun sat in his command chair, his four-fingered hands tapping on the armrests. The large screen in front of him showed a blue and green planet spinning slowly in the darkness of space. Earth, a world no alien race had ever conquered. "Show me the data again," Du Hyun ordered. Officer Han nodded and pulled up the files on the main screen. Earth has water, minerals, and many resources the Coalition needs. Its technology level is far behind ours. They have only reached their own moon. Their weapons cannot harm our ships. Do Hyun frowned. Something did not make sense. If Earth is so weak, why has no one claimed it yet? This sector has been explored for thousands of years. The room went quiet. No one had a good answer. "Sir," said Jin, the science officer, "I found something strange in the old records." He pulled up an ancient file. Earth is listed as a death world in our oldest databases. Death world. Du Hyun laughed. It looks pleasant enough. Gravity is standard. Atmosphere is breathable. What makes it a death world? Jin shook his head. The file doesn't say. Just that 3 previous civilizations tried to claim Earth. None of them exist anymore. The admiral stood up and walked closer to the screen. He studied the blue planet with new interest. Those were primitive times. We have technology those old civilizations could not imagine. "Should we wait for more information?" asked Han. "No," said Du Hyun firmly. "The Coalition Council wants this planet. I will not return empty-handed because of some old story." He turned to his communications officer. "Tell the scout ships to prepare. We need eyes on the ground. I want to know everything about these humans before we make our move." 3 days later, Du Hyun reviewed the first reports from the scout ships. What he read made him uneasy. "Humans have fought over 15,000 wars in their recorded history," he said to his officers. "They spend more resources on weapons than on helping their own people. Even their entertainment is about fighting." Jin looked worried. "That's unusual for a species that survived to develop space travel. Most races that violent destroy themselves before reaching the stars. Their biology is strange too," said the medical officer. "They can run for hours without stopping. They can survive injuries that would kill most species. They eat foods that would poison us." Do Hyun looked at the images of human cities. Their buildings were ugly and practical. Their vehicles were designed for speed rather than beauty. Everything about them suggested a species ready for war. "What about their weaknesses?" he asked. "They fight among themselves constantly," Han replied. "Different nations, religions, and beliefs. They cannot unite against a common enemy." Do Hyun nodded. That was good news. "And their technology?" "Primitive," Jin confirmed. "Their best weapons could not penetrate our shields. Their communications are easy to disrupt." The admiral made his decision. "We will send Lieutenant Jae-yun with a small team to gather more detailed intelligence. They will use the disguise technology to look human. 1 month of observation, then we plan our invasion." As his officers left to carry out his orders, Du Hyun looked again at the image of Earth. Something about it made him feel strangely afraid. He pushed the feeling away. His people needed resources, and Earth had them. The humans would be conquered like countless other species before them. He did not know it yet, but he had just made the biggest mistake of his life. "This is a mistake," said Elder Taeho, his voice shaking with age and fear. Admiral Du Hyun had just presented his invasion plan to the Coalition Council. The room was full of important aliens from many worlds. All 12 council members sat around a large round table. Du Hyun stood in the center, showing pictures of Earth on the big screen. "Elder Taeho, do you have concerns?" asked the head council member. The old alien stood slowly. His skin was pale blue and wrinkled. He had lived for over 300 years and was the oldest member of the council. "Earth is not just any planet," Taeho said. "It is a forbidden world." Du Hyun tried not to show his anger. "With all respect, Elder, we need the resources Earth has. My scouts report that humans are divided and weak. Their weapons cannot hurt our ships." Taeho shook his head. You do not understand. Earth has been marked as dangerous for over 10,000 years. There are warnings in our oldest records. This got the attention of the council. One member asked, "What kind of warnings?" Taiho walked slowly to the computer. His old fingers moved over the controls. A very old file appeared on the screen. The language was so old that the computer had trouble reading it. "This is from the first coalition, long before any of us were born," Taiho explained. "It says, Earth must never be approached. The creatures there bring death to all who touch their world." The room was quiet. Du Hyun broke the silence. "That was written in primitive times. We have better technology now." "It is not about technology," Taiho insisted. 3 great civilizations tried to take Earth. All 3 disappeared completely. "What happened to them?" asked a council member. Taiho looked sad. "We do not know for sure. The records are damaged. But the last civilization, the Vulk Empire, was far more advanced than we are now. They sent their biggest fleet to Earth. 1 year later, their whole civilization was gone." Do Hyun laughed, but no one joined him. "This sounds like old stories to scare children. The Vulk Empire probably fell because of internal problems. It could not be because of humans." Taiho's eyes narrowed. The Vulk were stable for 5,000 years before they found Earth. Something about humans destroyed them. The head council member looked troubled. "Do you have proof, Elder Taiho?" "Only the warnings," Taiho admitted. "The details were lost over time." Do Hyun saw his chance. "The coalition needs new resources. My plan is careful. We will not make mistakes like those before us, if those stories are even true." The council talked quietly among themselves. Finally, the head council member spoke. "Admiral Du Hyun, you may continue with reconnaissance, but no invasion without more information about these humans." Do Hyun bowed, hiding his frustration. "As you wish." As the meeting ended, Taiho approached Do Hyun. "Admiral, please listen. There is something about humans that we do not understand. Something dangerous. What exactly should I fear?" Du Hyun asked with a mocking smile. "Their primitive weapons. Their divided nations." Taiho's voice became very serious. "It is not what humans have. It is what they are. The old warning says, they do not stop. They never surrender. They learn from every defeat and come back stronger." Do Hyun turned away. "I will be careful, Elder, but Earth will be ours." As he walked away, Taiho whispered to himself, "That is what the Vox said too," right before they disappeared forever. Lieutenant Jae-yun looked at her new human face in the mirror. The disguise technology had given her smooth skin, dark hair, and only 2 eyes instead of her natural 4. She now looked exactly like a human female from a country called South Korea. "Everyone ready?" she asked her team of 5 scouts. They all wore human disguises too. Each scout looked like they came from a different part of Earth. "Remember," Jae-yun said, "we must blend in. Watch the humans. Learn their weaknesses. Do not draw attention." Their small ship landed quietly in a forest outside a city called Seoul. They had studied human languages and could speak like locals. They had fake papers that said they were tourists from different countries. For 3 days, Jae-yun walked among humans, watching everything. She sat in parks, rode on buses, and visited places humans called shopping malls. What she saw made her more and more worried. On the 4th day, she met with her team in a small hotel room. "Report," she ordered. Scout Dae spoke first. "Humans fight all the time. They have many different groups, countries, religions, political parties. They argue constantly." Jae-yun nodded. "This is good news. Divided people are easy to conquer." But Da continued, "When there is a big problem, they can work together very fast. Yesterday there was a fire in the city. Everyone helped, even people who did not know each other." Scout Yoon added, "Their entertainment is strange. They watch stories about war, fighting, and survival. Even their children play games about killing enemies. Jai Yun frowned. What about their technology? Simple compared to ours, said Scout Wu. But they improve very quickly. I found information that shows they went from basic flight to space travel in less than 70 years. That is incredibly fast. Scout Kim spoke next. Their biology is remarkable. Humans can survive in very hot and very cold places. They can go days without food. Some can lift 3 times their body weight. They heal from injuries that would kill us. Jai Yun thought about this. How did they get so tough? Earth is dangerous, explained Scout Park. It has deadly animals, natural disasters, extreme weather, and many diseases. Humans evolved to survive all of that. Jai Yun looked out the window at the busy city. Anything else? Yes, said Da. When humans cannot win by strength, they use tricks. Their history is full of weaker armies defeating stronger ones through smart planning. They call it asymmetric warfare, or guerrilla tactics. Jai Yun felt a cold feeling in her stomach. These humans were not like other species the coalition had conquered. Those races surrendered when faced with superior technology. Humans might not. That night, Jai Yun watched a human movie about their most recent world war. She saw humans fighting with simple weapons against better-equipped enemies. She saw them sacrificing themselves to save others. She saw their determination to keep fighting even when defeat seemed certain. Later, she wrote her report to Admiral Do Hyun. Humans appear divided and technologically inferior, but they have dangerous qualities. Extreme adaptability, unusual physical endurance, and a strange willingness to die for their beliefs. Most concerning is their history of constant warfare. They have become experts at fighting. I recommend extreme caution. She sent the report, knowing Admiral Do Hyun would probably ignore her warnings. He wanted Earth's resources too badly to stop now. What Jai Yun didn't write in her report was her growing doubt. For the first time in her career, she wasn't sure the coalition should win this fight. Jai Yun could not sleep. The thing she had seen on Earth troubled her deeply. After 3 weeks of watching humans, she knew that invading their world would be much harder than Admiral Do Hyun thought. She needed more information, not just about humans now, but about their past, about why Earth was called a death world in the old records. Jai Yun sent a private message to someone she knew from her school days. Kai Wu, a coalition historian who studied extinct civilizations. She asked to meet secretly. 2 days later, Jai Yun sat in a small room on her scout ship with Kai Wu. He was older than she remembered, with gray skin and worried eyes. What you're asking is dangerous, Kai Wu said quietly. Information about Earth is restricted. I need to know, Jai Yun insisted. Admiral Do Hyun is planning a full invasion, but I think it will fail. I think everyone will die. Kai Wu looked around nervously, then took out a small device. I brought these files. They're classified. If anyone finds out I showed you, I could be executed. He turned on the device. Old images appeared in the air between them. Strange alien ships, ancient ruins, star maps. 3 advanced empires tried to conquer Earth, Kai Wu explained. All 3 disappeared completely. Jai Yun leaned forward. Disappeared how? The first 2, we don't know exactly. It was too long ago. But the third, Kai Wu paused. The third was the Vulk Empire. They were the most advanced civilization of their time, much more advanced than we are now. He showed her images of huge Vulk ships and weapons that the coalition could not build even today. The Vulk sent their largest fleet to Earth 5,000 years ago. Kai Wu continued. They established bases on Earth's moon and on the planet itself. Their reports were confident. Humans were primitive then, with only simple tools and weapons. What happened? Jai Yun asked. At first, everything went as planned. The Vulk built cities on Earth. They started taking resources. But then, Kai Wu's voice dropped to a whisper. 1 year later, their entire civilization collapsed. 1 year? How is that possible? Kai Wu showed her more images. Vok ships fighting each other, burning cities, dead aliens. Something about contact with humans changed the Vok, Kiwu explained. The soldiers who spent time on Earth brought back new ideas, ideas about freedom, choice, and rebellion. The Vok Empire had strict rules and castes. No one could question their place. But after Earth, many did. Jai-Yun thought about this. So it wasn't human weapons that destroyed the Vok. It was human ideas. Exactly, Kiwu nodded. The Vok fell into civil war. Within months, their 5,000-year-old empire was gone. Jai-Yun remembered the human movies and books she had seen. So many were about fighting against control, about individuals standing up to power. Admiral Du-hyun doesn't know this, she said. He thinks it will be an easy victory. The Coalition Council knows, Kiwu said sadly, but they need resources. They think they can succeed where others failed. Jai-Yun stood up. I have to warn them. We need to stay away from Earth. Kiwu packed up his device. Be careful, Jai-Yun. The Admiral won't want to hear this. And remember, it's not just human weapons we should fear. As Kiwu left, Jai-Yun looked at her notes on humans. She had written, adaptable, aggressive, enduring. Now she added one more word, contagious. Human ideas were like a disease to other species, a disease that could destroy an entire civilization. And the Coalition was about to expose itself to that disease. Jai-Yun knew what she had to do. She had to convince Admiral Du-hyun to cancel the invasion. Before it was too late, Jai-Yun stood straight as Admiral Du-hyun paced around her. They were in his private office on the command ship. The walls were plain metal. A large window showed the stars and the blue planet Earth below them. Your report is troubling, Lieutenant, said Du-hyun. You make these humans sound dangerous. They are dangerous, sir, Jai-Yun said. Not because of their weapons, but because of what they are. Do-hyun stopped pacing. Explain. Humans never stop fighting. When they lose, they learn and come back stronger. They have fought wars for thousands of years. Fighting is in their blood. The Admiral laughed. We have conquered 100 worlds, Lieutenant. Some had better technology than Earth. All fell to the Coalition. Those species surrendered when they saw they could not win. Jai-Yun argued. Humans do not think that way. They keep fighting even when victory seems impossible. Do-hyun's face turned dark with anger. You spent too much time with them. You sound like you admire these primitives. I do not admire them, Jai-Yun said. I fear them. And you should too. Enough. Do-hyun slammed his fist on his desk. The invasion will proceed in 3 days. 10,000 ships. Millions of soldiers. Earth will fall in 1 week. Jai-Yun tried one last time. Sir, please listen. There is a reason Earth has never been successfully invaded. There is a reason it is called a death world. You are dismissed, Lieutenant, Do-hyun said coldly. Report to medical for evaluation. I think these humans have affected your mind. Jai-Yun saluted and left the office, but she did not go to medical. Instead, she went to her quarters and packed a small bag. She had made her decision during her last day on Earth. She could not let her people make this terrible mistake. That night, Jai-Yun stole a small scout ship. She disabled its tracking system and flew back to Earth. She landed near Seoul, in the same forest as before. In her bag, she carried information about coalition ships, weapons, and plans. Information that could help humans defend themselves. Finding the right human to trust was hard. Jai-Yun spent 2 days watching the military base outside the city. Finally, she saw her target. A woman in a uniform with many badges. The woman worked late every night and seemed respected by others. Jai-Yun waited until the woman left the base alone. Then she approached her. Colonel Sunne, Jai-Yun said, using the woman's name and rank she had learned. The human woman stopped walking. Her hand moved toward her gun. Who are you? How do you know my name? Jai-yun took a deep breath and turned off her human disguise. Her skin changed to its natural blue color. Her two hidden eyes appeared on her face. Colonel Sunma stepped back in shock, but did not run. My name is Jai-yun, said the alien. I am a lieutenant from the Galactic Coalition. My people are planning to invade your world in 3 days. Sunma's face showed no fear, only focus. Why are you telling me this? Because the invasion will fail, Jai-yun said, but many humans and many of my people will die first. I want to stop that. Jai-yun held out a small device. This contains information about our ships, our weapons, and our plans. It can help you prepare. Sunma didn't take the device yet. Why would you betray your own people? Jai-yun looked up at the night sky. Because I have seen what humans can do, and I have seen what happens to those who underestimate you. After a long moment, Sunmi took the device. Come with me. We need to talk. An alien invasion in 2 days. The president of South Korea looked at Colonel Sunmi like she was crazy. They sat in a large room with military leaders and government officials. Jai-yun stood in a corner, still wearing her human disguise. Only Sunmi knew who she really was. Sir, I know it sounds impossible, Sunmi said, but the evidence is real. She played the videos Jai-yun had brought. The screen showed massive alien ships, strange weapons, maps of Earth with red marks on major cities. Even if this is true, what can we do? Asked a general. If their technology is so advanced, how can we fight them? Sunmi smiled and looked at Jai-yun. We have help. Jai-yun stepped forward and turned off her disguise. Everyone in the room gasped as her blue skin appeared and her 4 eyes blinked at them. My name is Lieutenant Jai-yun of the Galactic Coalition, she said. I am here to help you survive. For the next hour, Jai-yun explained the coalition's weaknesses. Their ships were fast, but had thin protection in certain spots. Their soldiers had never fought in Earth's gravity, which was stronger than their homeworlds. And they had a fatal flaw. They expected humans to surrender quickly. We must contact other nations, the president said. All countries must work together. Within hours, an emergency United Nations meeting began. For the first time in history, every country agreed on one thing. Earth needed to be defended. In New York, Dr. Hyun-woo watched the news about the alien threat. He was a weapons designer who most people thought was too strange to be taken seriously. But now, his wild ideas didn't seem so crazy. Hyun-woo's phone rang. It was the military. Dr. Hyun-woo, said the voice on the phone. We need your help. Your ideas about high-frequency weapons might work against these aliens. Hyun-woo smiled. I'll be ready in an hour. Around the world, humans prepared in different ways. Soldiers moved to defensive positions. Regular people stored food and water. Scientists worked day and night on new weapons based on Jai-yun's information. On a military base in South Korea, Sunmi showed Jai-yun their progress. We've modified our missiles to target the weak spots you showed us, Sunmi explained. And we're making special bullets that can penetrate their armor. Jai-yun looked impressed. You've done all this in just 1 day. Humans are good at preparing for war, Sunmi said. It's what we do best, unfortunately. Jai-yun watched as soldiers practiced new fighting techniques designed to work against the alien troops. Do you think it will be enough? Jai-yun asked. Sunmi's face was serious. Probably not. But we won't go down without a fight. In his lab, Hyun-woo finished his new invention. It was a device that created sound waves at a frequency that would hurt alien ears badly, but was silent to humans. He had built 100 of them in just 24 hours. Ship these to all major cities, he told his assistant. They won't stop the aliens completely, but they'll give us an edge. Up in space, Admiral Do-hyun prepared his invasion fleet. He had noticed Jai-yun's missing ship, but thought little of it. One deserter would not change anything. His plan was perfect. Begin the countdown, he ordered. Invasion starts in 12 hours. Back on Earth, Sun Mai watched the sky with Jia-yun beside her. They're coming, Jia-yun said quietly. Sun Mi nodded. We're ready. Around the world, humans waited. They were scared but determined. For the first time, all of humanity stood together against a common enemy. The aliens would soon learn why Earth was called a death world. Admiral Du-hyun watched from his command ship as the first wave of coalition forces entered Earth's atmosphere. 1,000 ships descended toward major cities around the planet. This was the moment he had planned for. Earth would fall, and he would be a hero. All ships report ready, Admiral, said Officer Han. No resistance detected yet. Do-hyun smiled. Begin Phase 1. Target their military bases and government buildings. On the screens, he watched his ships move into position above Earth's cities. Then suddenly, red warning lights flashed across the command center. Admiral, Han shouted, Earth forces are firing at our ships. Do-hyun frowned. Impossible. Their weapons cannot harm us. But on the screens, he saw something shocking. Several coalition ships were damaged. 3 were falling from the sky, trailing smoke and fire. How is this happening? Do-hyun demanded. Officer Jin checked the reports. Sir, they've modified their missiles. They're targeting the weak spots in our shields. Do-hyun's face darkened. Lieutenant Jia-yun, she betrayed us. On the ground, Sun Mi directed the defense of Seoul. The alien ships filled the sky, dark and threatening. But the humans were not afraid. They were ready. Fire the pulse weapons, Sun Mi ordered. Dr. Hyunwoo's sound devices activated across the city. The alien troops who had landed clutched their heads in pain. Their sensitive ears could not handle the high-frequency sounds. Jia-yun stood beside Sun Mi, watching the battle. Your people fight well, she said. We've had lots of practice, Sun Mi replied grimly. All around the world, the same scene played out. In New York, London, Beijing, and dozens of other cities, humans fought back with unexpected strength. They used the knowledge Jia-yun had given them to target coalition weaknesses. On his ship, Do-hyun could not believe what he was seeing. Half of his first wave was destroyed or damaged. The reports from his ground troops were even worse. The humans know our weaknesses, reported Commander Kang. They're using sound weapons that hurt only us. They're targeting our breathing equipment. They're fighting in ways we never expected. Where are the surrenders? Do-hyun demanded. They should be begging for mercy by now. Sir, Kang said hesitantly, they're not surrendering. Not even when their buildings are destroyed. They retreat, regroup, and attack again. Do-hyun slammed his fist on the control panel. Send in the second wave. Double the force. In Washington, D.C., the President of the United States watched the battle reports. Despite heavy losses, human forces were holding their own. What's the status? He asked his general. We've lost 40% of our military bases, the general said. But the aliens have lost 60% of their landing forces. They didn't expect us to fight so hard. The president nodded. And the civilian response? Extraordinary, sir. People are helping everywhere. Former soldiers have rejoined the fight. Regular citizens are supporting the troops. Even criminals are fighting alongside police. Around the world, humans showed their true nature. They were not just fighting to win. They were fighting to survive. And they refused to give up. By the end of the first day, both sides had suffered heavy losses. Coalition forces had destroyed many cities. Millions of humans were dead. But the aliens had lost far more ships and soldiers than Do-hyun had thought possible. Admiral, said Jin quietly, should we consider retreating? Never. Do-hyun shouted, send in the third wave. We will crush them with numbers. But as he stared at the blue planet below, a feeling of doubt crept into his mind. These humans were different from any species the coalition had ever faced. They did not fight like civilized beings. They fought like cornered animals, with desperation, creativity, and a terrifying will to survive. For the first time, Admiral Du Hyun wondered if the old warnings about Earth might be true after all. 7 days into the invasion, General Minho stood in the underground command center near what was left of Seoul. Maps and screens covered the walls, showing the positions of both human and alien forces. The room was filled with military officers from many countries. "The aliens have lost nearly half their ships," Minho said, pointing to the map. "But they still have enough to destroy us." "Then we need to hit them harder," said a Russian general. "We can't just defend anymore." Minho nodded. "It's time for our counterattack." In the corner, Jae-yun watched with interest. Humans had surprised her again. After just 1 week of fighting, they had not only learned to use coalition weapons, but had improved them. "The plan is simple," Minho continued. "We have captured enough alien ships to attack their command vessel. If we can kill or capture Admiral Du Hyun, their forces will be confused. It's very dangerous," warned an American admiral. "We'll lose many people." "We'll lose everything if we don't try," Minho replied firmly. On his command ship, Admiral Du Hyun was growing desperate. 7 days of fighting had cost him nearly half his fleet. His soldiers were tired and afraid. Some were even refusing to fight. "This is impossible," he muttered, looking at the battle reports. "How can they keep fighting after so much destruction?" Officer Han approached carefully. "Sir, there's something else. Some of our troops are changing." "What do you mean, changing?" Du Hyun demanded. "They're questioning orders, talking about human ideas like freedom and choice. 3 units have refused to attack civilian areas." Du Hyun's eyes widened. This was worse than he thought. It wasn't just a military defeat they faced. Something about humans was affecting his troops' minds. Suddenly, alarms sounded throughout the ship. "We're under attack," Jin shouted. "Multiple ships approaching." They're our own ships." Do Hyun stared at the screen in disbelief. A group of coalition ships was heading straight for his command vessel, but they were being piloted by humans. General Minho led the attack himself. He sat in the captured alien ship, flying it with the help of controls modified for human hands. Behind him, 20 more captured ships followed, each filled with soldiers. "Remember the plan," he said into his radio. "Team 1 targets their engines. Team 2 goes for the bridge. Team 3 rescues any human prisoners." The small fleet of captured ships approached the massive coalition command vessel. They were spotted too late. By the time the alien defenses responded, Minho's ships were already attaching to the hull. Human soldiers in modified alien suits cut through the hull and poured into the command ship. They moved quickly, using the ship plans Jae-yun had provided. Do Hyun ordered all available troops to defend the bridge. He could not believe this was happening. Humans inside his command ship. It was unthinkable. "Sir, we should evacuate you to a safer ship," Han suggested. "No," Do Hyun shouted. "I will not run from these primitives." The sound of fighting grew closer. Human soldiers were advancing through the ship, using captured alien weapons and their own modified guns. They fought with a ferocity that shocked the coalition troops. Officer Jin watched the security screens with horror. "Sir, they're adapting to our weapons as they fight. They're learning our technology just by using it." Do Hyun finally understood the old warnings. Humans didn't just fight to win. They absorbed their enemy's strengths. They learned, adapted, and grew stronger with every battle. The bridge doors exploded inward. Human soldiers poured in, led by a tall man with determined eyes. "General Minho." "Admiral Du Hyun," Minho said, pointing a captured alien weapon at the admiral. "Your invasion is over." Do Hyun looked around at his captured bridge, at his defeated officers. The impossible had happened. Earth, a supposedly primitive world, had not only resisted the mighty coalition, but had brought the fight to his very command center. For the first time in his long career, Admiral Du Hyun surrendered. Admiral Du Hyun sat in a plain room with white walls. It was a month after his capture. Through the window, He could see the damaged but healing city of Seoul. Humans rebuilt quickly, just as they fought quickly. The door opened, and Jia-yun entered with Colonel Sun-mei. "Admiral," Jia-yun said with a small bow, "the Coalition Council has sent a message." Do-hyun looked up tiredly. "Let me guess, they want me executed for failing." "No," Jia-yun said. "They want to negotiate peace with Earth." Do-hyun's eyes widened. "Peace? After what happened?" Sun-mei sat across from him. "Your forces have been in disarray since your capture. Many of your ships have retreated. Others have surrendered. And some have defected completely." Jia-yun added, "They've asked to stay on Earth." Do-hyun shook his head in disbelief. "Why would they want to stay?" "Because humans have something no other species has," Jia-yun explained. "Freedom of choice. Individual rights. In the Coalition, everyone follows orders without question. Here, people can choose their own path." Do-hyun thought about this. During his month as a prisoner, he had been treated well. Humans could have tortured or killed him, but they didn't. They showed mercy, something rare in the Coalition. "I think I understand now," Do-hyun said slowly. "The old warnings about Earth weren't just about humans being dangerous fighters." "No," Sun-mei agreed. "Contact with humans changes how other species think. Your soldiers who spent time fighting us began questioning orders. They started thinking for themselves. That's why the Vuk Empire fell," Jia-yun added. "Their soldiers brought human ideas back to their worlds. It spread like a disease through their rigid society." Do-hyun nodded. "Not a disease. A revelation." 1 week later, Admiral Do-hyun stood before the remaining Coalition commanders. They had gathered on a neutral ship to decide what to do next. "I recommend complete withdrawal from Earth," Do-hyun said firmly. "This planet must be designated as a forbidden zone." "Because we cannot defeat them?" asked the commander. "Because contact with humans changes us," Do-hyun explained. "They don't just fight with weapons. They fight with ideas, and their ideas are more dangerous than any bomb." The commanders voted unanimously to withdraw. Do-hyun was tasked with one final mission: to place a warning beacon at the edge of Earth's solar system. 6 months later, Jia-yun stood on a hill overlooking Seoul. The city had been rebuilt. New buildings stood where ruins had been. Humans recovered quickly. Sun-mi joined her, carrying 2 cups of coffee. "The last Coalition ship left our space today." Jia-yun took the coffee. She had grown to like the bitter human drink. "And the beacon is active." Sun-mi nodded. "Any alien ship that approaches will receive the warning." "What does it say exactly?" Jia-yun asked. Sun-mi smiled. "It says, 'Earth, approach at your own peril. Even the aliens know invading Earth is a death sentence.'" Jia-yun laughed. "Simple but effective." "Will you miss your home?" Sun-mi asked quietly. Jia-yun looked at the city below. "The Coalition wasn't really my home. It was just where I lived. Here, I can make choices. I can be myself." In the distance, a new building was being constructed. It would be the first galactic embassy, where humans would meet with other species, not as conquerors or victims, but as equals. "Do you think other aliens will come peacefully now?" Sun-mi asked. "Some will," Jia-yun said. "The wise ones. They'll come to trade and learn." "And the others?" Jia-yun's 4 eyes blinked thoughtfully. "They'll read the warning. Most will stay away, but some won't believe it. Some will try to prove it wrong." "And when they do?" Sun-mi asked. Jia-yun smiled. "They'll learn what every invader before them learned. Earth is not just a planet. It's a test. Those who try to conquer it are destroyed. Those who come in peace find something unexpected, a new way of thinking, a new kind of freedom." Sun-mi raised her coffee cup. "To Earth, the deadliest planet in the galaxy." "To Earth," Jia-yun agreed. "My new home."